Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Hugo, and today we're going to see how to deal with the bear market. We're going to see some strategies that are already put in place to fight against the bear market, and also we're going to do some market analysis on the SP500, Bitcoin, and also on my portfolio. So stay around. Before we start the video, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Only 6.2% of my viewers are subscribers, so don't forget to smash that button. So let's get back to the video. There are several strategies that we can put in place to deal with the bear market trend. So usually what is a bear market trend is when we're going to have defined, sustained and downtrend of the market. So when we are going down for more than 20% or usually it's around 20%. So that's why that we need to put some strategies in place in order to fight this downtrend. One of the things that I do is to keep money in balance. Usually what I've done so far, cashing out some positions that I have, like for example that other one I just did, which are the ARKK or ARK, which is from Cathy Woods, one of the ETFs that I have, and I sold to have money in balance in order to top up my balance. One of the things that I've done, and I'm going to explain you more, why did I sold ARK is for one simple reason, because usually this ARK, which is based on growing stocks, has some tendency to go down. Usually growing stocks in the bear market, they always go down, and we need to shift to other type of stocks, which I'm going to explain you later on in this video, and the reason why. Another thing that I usually do is do the average. When I always talk in my videos about averaging, what I do is the dollar cost averaging. What this is nothing more than when they are below the 5%, I'll buy it, and they are again below the 10%, I'll buy it more, and they are below 15%, I'll buy a little bit more. So in order to fight this negative trend, for example, in the case of Alibaba with the ticker 9988HK, I had around minus 25%, which now I have around 19% only. And with the hope this stock is going up because of the Chinese market, it's in the lowest time ever. And looking into the graphs, I think this is the bottom that we've reached, but I could be wrong. And then if I'm wrong, I need to do more averaging, more dollar cost averaging. One other strategy that I put in place is also go for bargains. When I have stocks that went down quite a lot, like more than 25% or 30%, that was the case in some of the stocks that I've bought before, like Nexo, which I bought around minus 25%. And then I sold with a profit of around 5%, if I'm certain, or 10% around that. And there are other stocks that you can buy, and I can show you right now. You also need to do some due diligence in terms of what happened with that stock, why there was a sell-off of the stock, or it's just a tendency of the market. In this case, what you need to do is to use Yahoo Finance or any other type of information that you can search on the Google and see what happened with that stock. It's really important to understand what is the position and why, or probably if there's any problem with that stock. So in this case, I'll go to eToro. I use the scanner that we have, which is not the best. That's why we need to use other solutions in order to understand what is the trend and why this went so down. So usually what I do, I go to one of the, let's say, basic materials, and I put here by month and see what was the change. So for example, we have this, the Poly, actually this is a Chinese stock, GSL Poly. It's a really huge company in China, which provides energy. And we have also here the ticker SPXW, Siberdin Steel Mill, which is one of the stocks that I've reviewed last week, and you can check that on my video, and they went down around 19%. So there could be a trend of up in the next upcoming months. So we can have a look here in terms of the graphs. What is the trend for it? And we see we reached the bottom here, and we already start to have increase of the stock. Of course, we need to also understand why this stock went so down. We need to understand if they are sell-off of the stocks, why there is a sell-off of the stocks, if they are trying to reinvest that value. And that's all the news that we need to search, and you can do that by going to Yahoo or even the feeds here on this stock. And this is one of the ways that you can find really bargain stocks, and this is what I use on eToro as a tool to get those bargain tools. Of course, there are more investigation that you need to do in terms of the stock, and that it's really important and you need to do your own due diligence. So when you go for a bargain hunting, you need to take advantage of these depressed prices to snap up fundamentally strong stock. So you can't go for weak stocks. We need to understand what is involved on that stock to understand if it's a really strong stock and have growth, and also the financial health, it is good enough to grow in the future. Buying defensive stocks are stocks that are with a large cap, like Microsoft, Apple, or Facebook, or any other those stocks in the top 500, and also with a large market cap. They are stable companies, especially companies that are involved in consumer staples. For example, Walmart, which everybody needs to buy paper towel and other essential needs like food, etc. So this is the kind of stocks that won't go down as much as any other stocks when we are facing stagflation, where this can be caused by a high inflation that we may foresee now. Gold could be one of the commodities which, for example, I have M Gold, which is one of the ETFs on gold. This is that everybody goes to when this kind of market starts to come up, stagflation or a bear market. But in this case, the gold at the moment is too expensive and they're not giving any return in the past 10 years. So it's not going to be a really good advice to invest in gold since there's no return. And that's for I'm investing more in dividend stocks, because even if they go down, they still pay you that dividend. And those dividend stocks are stable per nature. For example, the ARR, which I'm going to talk about more at the end of the video, which is one of the stocks that I'm trying to invest now as well, with a high dividend yield, and other stocks that I have on my portfolio. So those are the stocks that I'm going to invest now, try to get from growing stocks and to invest on those as well, trying to remove the money that I have invested in gold in the ETF MG and try to reinvest those in high dividend stocks. Stocks for this week that are going to pay dividend yields is going to be AVGO, Broadcom, with a dividend yield of 2.84%. The ex-dividend date is going to be on the 21st of September. And we have PBA, Pembina Pipeline, which is one high dividend yield stocks on my portfolio with the ex-dividend date on the 23rd of September with a high dividend yield of 6.29%. I already spoke about the stocks in my previous video, so have a look there about Pembina. It's really a nice stock. If you don't have energy transfer or any other type of stocks in the energy sector, Pembina could be one of those which is going to pay you monthly with a high dividend yield of 6.29%. So now let's do some analysis on the SP500 and also on the Bitcoin. In terms of the SP500, we start to have a really negative week, and it has been this way for more than 2 weeks. So we're starting to have a stagflation, and this is what we are facing now, where the volume of transactions for sale is getting higher and higher. So I don't see this coming up in the next week to be positive, and this trend is going to be continue this way for the next upcoming weeks. This also happened every single year around this time. This happened in the market previously. Always in September we have a downtrend, as seen here in the past year, exactly the same thing. And if we go back like 2020, we also have a downtrend here and also a downtrend in October, as we've seen here. So this is quite normal during this period. We're going to have a bearish market for the next upcoming weeks or so. I don't see any positive trend for the next upcoming weeks, and we still have here a big volume of sell. So we have a big sell-off of stocks all around the SP500, and this impacting quite high the market. So be careful and have your money in balance, or even you can apply one of the strategies that are already mentioned on this video. In terms of the Bitcoin, we're going to have exactly the opposite. What's going to happen here is the gold now is going to be the Bitcoin, and we are seeing some shift stocks into Bitcoin, which is going to start to be a commodity really interesting to invest in because of the growth. So we still have here the resistance at 50k. We didn't reach that point yet. Again, we're consolidating the area here at the 47k, which is quite interesting and quite good. We did have some increase in terms of volume, but although there's still not enough, probably because of the market sentiment that we are having with the SP500, which is going down, and people are afraid of investing on Bitcoin. In terms of the MACD, we're going to have a bull market for the next week or so. but then we're going to have a bearish market for the next week, another negative volumes for here. Probably you're going to reach the 45k, the support around here, the 45k, and then we go for again for the resistance for the 50k. Let's see what's going to happen with the market and also with the Bitcoin. But this is the tendency of the Bitcoin now, going to fall until the 45k probably, unless if people start to invest in Bitcoin as invest in the past as gold. But now, since the Bitcoin is going to become the new gold, some say, we probably going to have a new uptrend, but for this week it's not going to be good news. So if you want to copy all my trades, you can do it so by going to eToro and search my nickname Kenite, and you can copy all my open trades, which is what I advise, with a minimum of $1,000, which is recommended in order for you to gain the most of those dividends. Although you can invest 500, which is the minimum requirement by eToro, and you can even simulate your copy by using the spreadsheet at the end of this video. In terms of portfolio performance, we have the growth of the US market on around minus 0.6%, and my portfolio had a growth of minus 0.5%. This is due to some averaging that I've done, especially on the Chinese market, like Alibaba and the MG ETF, and I managed to counterbalance that negative trend. In terms of my portfolio profit and loss, since inception we had a 12.06% growth. We had a decrease here because I sold ARK Invest, where I got profitability of around 5%, and from the last 12 months we had a growth of around 30.21%, which is quite good comparing with the average that we have on the copy trades in eToro. In terms of the top 5 stocks, we had the ETF XLE with an increase of 7.20%, so the energy sector had an increase here. Therefore, BT, British Petroleum, as well had an increase with a 3.06%. We have International Consolidated Airlines, which had an impact in the past 2 weeks because of COVID, but now they had a growth around 2.73% in the past week, and probably going to see some more growth on this stock as soon some countries start to ease the COVID restrictions. PNB in the pipeline, PBA, we had a growth of around 2.45%, and Broadcom AVGO with a growth of 1.58%. So this was the top 5 stocks for this week. In terms of other performance indicators and actions, we had payments of SDIV, Main Capital, and PBA. For the first time we have a payment of PBA. We had the new acquisition, we didn't have none. In terms of open orders, we have ARR, which is also one of the stocks that I mentioned in the beginning of the video. They are REITs and they have a dividend yield of around 11.11%, which is quite good. And in terms of the finance and all valuation is quite good as well. If you want me to talk about this stock, please leave a comment there and I can review on the next upcoming video. In terms of the close orders, we have ARK with a profit of around 5.20%, although ARK went down quite a lot and the performance in the past 6 months has been a negative trend. So that's why as soon as I got the chance to at least have a profit of around 5%, I sold completely, and to get that money in balance to invest on other stocks that can bring me more growth, or went down quite a lot to do cost averaging, dollar cost averaging. In terms of averaging, I did some average on Alibaba with the ticker 9988HK, com, AIG.L, which I misspelled before, and MG and EVA. The top payers are still Energy Transfer. The top dividend yield is still QYLD with 11.80%. The portfolio is now undervalued 45.3%. The portfolio future growth is around 8.4%. The stock with the highest volatility is still Main, and the lowest volatility is still Unilever. And now let's have a look into the spreadsheet to see the actions that we had this week. So this is the spreadsheet that you can use to simulate your copy. So you can invest here, in this case, put it here, $5,000, and we can see here what we had been paid so far. In terms of payments this week, we had SDIV, we had PBA and Main Capital right below, and also we can check here what is the top dividend yield. In this case, we still have here QYLD with the top dividend yield. In terms of market diversification and the overall of my portfolio, so we have 22.7% on ETFs, 56.8% on US stocks, UK stocks we had 9.1%. In terms of crypto, we had 4.5%. In terms of Chinese stocks, we had 4.5%, and also in balance we had the increase from around 1% to 2.3%, which I put all this money in balance in order to reinvest in other stocks. So we're no longer going to have here ARK as we had in the past, because those stocks I've sold, so I removed from this list. One of the things that you can do is check how much you're going to receive per month, and as well in terms of annually how much you're going to receive. Bear in mind this is stocks after tax, because the tax are being calculated here. Once again, guys, I hope you enjoy these tips. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like to help me with the YouTube algorithm, because we now need to say hey to the algorithm. And once again, guys, thank you. Cheers, and see you next week.